grandpa gonna fix your chicken while you talk about hey now, hey now, wake a one day, like a muffin on one day, like a muffin on day. Yours, my dog, gonna set your tail on fire. Talk about hey now, hey now, echo one day. Check 'em up, feet on Monday, check 'em up, feet on day.
Welcome home, y'all. Woo! We are back live and in person, and it is such a great joy. So you'll see that we have celebration balloons. Thank you to the celebration team. And we are here in honor and spirit of Mardi Gras and with all the lively energy. I am Cathryn the Grateful, your guide on today's celebration. I am the Minister of Movement here at Jubilee, and it is such an honor to be home and with you today. So nice to look out onto each of your faces. So I would just invite each of you to turn to someone that you don't know and welcome them to today's celebration. Welcome. So if you're new to Jubilee, I want to welcome you here. And if you are an old timer, welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. We are in Via Creativa. We celebrate the seasons here. And we are celebrating the theme, Crossing the Threshold. Crossing the Threshold is something that was popularized with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, actually taking a step beyond, a step out of our comfort zone, and a step into something new, something unknown. Today, we are crossing the threshold of reconciliation. Reconciliation to forgive, to accept the isness of what is. Like the weather, for example. The rainy, cold weather that welcomes the Mardi Gras season every year, y'all. Every year, that sweet, lively Mardi Gras parade has a little bit of a gray vibe, right? But we brought our own sun today. Jennifer Murphy of Street Creatures, which are the puppet club downstairs, brought our own sun. And that is what we are called to do sometimes. Sometimes we are called to bring our own sun, to bring our own celebration to the celebration of creation. You're going to hear some really powerful stories today. We're going to share some songs, a little dance, some prayer, some reflection. It's a beautiful day to be here, to be home, and to be at Jubilee. So with that, let us stand and sing.
Standing at the threshold of the moment in my life, looking far into the ceaseless wonders of this day, calling from the mountaintop, I'm here to be your hands. Touch me and we'll go along the way, and bring about your love, sing about your love, think about your love, dance and fly about the love of everyone. Standing at the threshold of the moment in my life, looking far into the ceaseless wonders of this day, calling from the mountaintop, come here to be your hand. Touch me and we'll go along our way, and bring about your love, sing about your love, think about your love, and fly on the love of everyone.
Good morning, Jubilee. It's so wonderful to be back in this vibration, this reconciliation that we're doing. And in the spirit of reconciliation and nothingness and not knowing anything, and in my opinion, I think that maybe we return to everything we should know once we return to nothingness and return to that language and reconcile the language of silence, of nature, of that first voice that we remember of the heartbeat of our mother. when we were inside the womb, and each of us have had that experience. So within that reconciling with what lives inside each and every one of us, let's reconcile the nothingness that we all started out with the one language of silence, with only the heartbeat of the mother that fed us and loved us. And with that, please, let's face to the east. The Holy Spirit of the east, thank you, thank you, thank you. Know that our silence is in the awe of the greatness of the life that is ours. Thank you for the portable sunlight that showed up at the door this morning. Thank you for the many ways that the rays of light reach us, through our hearts and spirits, through the skies and through the earth. We thank you, is all I can say, in a good way, I hope. Face to the south, please. The Holy Spirits of the South, welcome Cloud people, welcome Rain Nation. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come and celebrate with us today. It's an honor to be in your presence. Thank you for all the nurturing that you're doing right before us and beautifying and readying us for spring. We ask you to continue to nurture the seed that we are sprouting in this new season of the Via of Creativa. Sprout our dreams and visions of creativity, of beauty. Help us to reconcile with all of those things that we long for deep inside our spirit. Thank you, Water Nation, for all you do to quench our thirst for the great mystery. In a good way, I hope. Face to the west, please. Oh, ancestors of the west, we see you. We see you just on the other side of that thin veil of life and death. We invite you to come and journey with us. Tell us your stories and sing us your songs. Remind us of your warmth and embrace. And know that we reflect these things back to you in a good way. Thank you for the prayers that you prayed for us. Thank you for the life that you have lived. And know that we honor you by living a life of love, prosperity, and honor toward one another. Thank you for the message that you've given us. And we will share it with our children and the next generations to come in a good way. Now, face to the north, please. Oh, ancestors of the north, to all the beings of the wind nations, we thank you for each and every breath that we take, for every miracle that is the breeze of the wind that touches us softly, and everything that lives upon this earth. We thank you. We thank you for blending all the energies and the voices and the echoes and the vibrations that lift us up to greatness. Thank you for all that you do for us, with each and every breath that is the miracle of our life. Thank you. In a good way, I hope. Face to center, please. And thank you for the innocence. Thank you for the childlike wonder of life. Thank you for the great mystery that leads our spirit to say what and why and how. Curiosity and innocence. Thank you. Oh.
Here comes the sun.
Here comes the sun, do do do
exciting time to be back together. Okay, Jubilee in action. We've got a lot to talk about, and I hope each one of you will jump in with anything that you're inspired to help with. We've got a lot of opportunities. So this Wednesday, we're having an Ash Wednesday service from 8 to 10. This will be a drop-in service led by Joslin, and it will include communion, dispensing of ashes, and time for contemplative meditation. Stay as long or as short as you'd like, but vaccination and recent negative COVID tests and masks are required. The Spiritual Journey team is sponsoring Journeying into Spring, a contemplative, there's that word again. I don't know why, I know what it is, contemplative experience, presented by Rose Bader. This 4-week series will be on Zoom from 7 to 8 p.m. on March 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. It includes grounding, a reading or a poem, contemplative time, and sharing. Registration is required. The next Spiritual Journey team meeting is on March 1st. If you're interested in joining or having an event or you'd like to suggest to sponsor, please contact Michelle Bernhardt. The Care and Compassion team is holding a meeting on Thursday, March 3rd from 6:30 to 8:30 at 46 Wall Street, and all are welcome. For more information, email Mark Foster and Ayla Sophia. I think they have a little more to say about that. Come on up here.
Good morning, everybody. So a notable week is ahead. The new moon is on Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, and Lent begins on Wednesday. And the Care and Compassion team is starting up again on Thursday night at 6:30 here at Wall Street downstairs. So what to look forward to? Grace to receive and give, everyday sacred rituals, making your own holy water, mindful tea ceremonies, walking on holy ground, universal prayers, being led by the Spirit, your connection to the great I am, and responding with kindness. And with that, I want to introduce my co-leader.
I wanted to say hello. I'm new here. I'm working with Mark, and I'm very excited to be part of bringing more compassion and care into our world. And I wanted to thank you all for creating such a space of joy and celebration and bringing the sunshine into my life as I've been here as a new member. I look forward to getting to know you.
Okay, now where was I? Okay, so we've got a lot of people that want to present their announcements. So I do have, if anyone is interested in helping to build a ramp for Warren Harding, you know, he's recently had a very bad sprain and has trouble getting in and out of his home. But Ray Raymond has stepped up to organize that effort, so please get in touch with Ray if you can help. There he is. There's Ray. Woo-woo. And Jubilee has signed up for a volunteer day at Manna Food Bank. And on March 3rd, from 4:15 to 5:30, we have slots for 10 folks. We need sign-ups to happen by tomorrow. So if you're interested in doing it, go ahead and sign up. Alexandra Naranjo, there she is. She's the woman to see. Okay. The social justice team is looking for a point person to work with Ron Katz on voter engagement and someone to head up their healthcare initiative. If you're interested, please contact Ed Grove. Where's Ed? There he is. Okay. We need a few volunteers to help make phone calls. Actually, Ed's going to make that announcement as well. And I think that's it for the moment. We're going to hear from Ed and then from Diane Witt. Thanks, all.
Good morning, Jubilee. I'm Ed Groh. I'm a coordinator with Vinny for our volunteer teams at Jubilee. Am I not on?
You're on. It's just
I'm just too high. Sorry.
You're too high.
Is that good? Oh.
There you go.
All right, on higher ground. Good morning, Jubilee. I'm Ed Grove. I'm a coordinator with Vinite of our volunteer teams at Jubilee. And there are many great things happening, as you're already hearing. I want to call out 2 more of those. First, Jubilee will begin housing a daytime warming center in March for the unhoused in our community. With the support of some experienced staff from the Trinity Shelter, we'll be hosting unhoused people in the lower level of our building here, providing a warm space, dry space, a beverage, toilet access, and charging stations for those in need. I'm really excited that Jubilee is going to begin offering this service. We do need some volunteers to help provide the service. Volunteers will help host on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon. If you can help out, or if you'd like more information, please see me after the celebration, or contact me at edgrove50@gmail.com. Secondly, Jubilee is now using a nifty new program to manage our awareness of jubilants and to reach out to you on topics you care about. But our information from the old system is out of date. So we'd like some volunteers to help us reach out to people to confirm what you care about and how we can reach out to you. So if you can help out with that, again, see me after the celebration or contact me at edgrove50@gmail.com. Thank you, Jubilee, for all that you do. I'd like to introduce Diane Witt.
Hi, I'm Diane DeWitt with the book club that meets tomorrow at 3 p.m. We're going to meet in person again after many Zoom meetings. Our book is The Three Mothers. It's a look at the lives of the mothers of the famous, of Black men that have achieved notoriety. And much is written about the fathers, but not the mothers. So this is a book to acknowledge the women in the past of their lives. It's in paperback. If you haven't gotten it and want to come, still come at 3 o'clock in the hospitality room. Okay, now, I'm Diane DeWitt with the Earth Team. We had a couple of announcements, but the one I chose was Asheville, the city of Asheville has combined with Audubon to make Asheville a city of darkness for the months of March through May, and then again September to November. This is to help the migration of the birds. All the lighting messes them up. So anything that you can do in the evening, lights that you don't need on outside, please turn them off. Let's join this and help those birds get to where they want to go. Thanks.
And just a reminder, if there's anything that you've heard just now that inspires you, please go to the Jubilee website, jubileecommunity.org, for more information and for contacts. And now I'd like to introduce David Sharpe with a gift of story.
Good. I'm telling a story that comes from Cherokee tradition. It's called The Origin of the Wild Strawberries. Have you ever been in an argument? You know the type of argument you know you were right, but you completely forgot what you were arguing about? It was that type of argument. First man and first woman. And it went on for a long time. It started in the spring. By the summer, they didn't even speak words. They just look at each other and they'd kind of growl and grumble. By the fall, they would see each other's fire and head in opposite directions. Their paths did not cross in the winter, and it was a very long, cold winter. And by the end of the winter, first man, he still thought he was right, but he couldn't remember what they were arguing about, and he ran into Creator and said, Creator, I need some help. I want to apologize. I need some help learning how to do this, but first thing I need to do is be able to catch up with first woman. And I go chasing after her, and she goes on along the way. And he would chase after first woman, and first woman would keep going. And Creator looked around and said, I think I can help with this, because if I don't, this experiment with the two-leggeds isn't going to last very long. So Creator came up with an idea, and as first woman was going, an apple tree sprang up in front of her, went into bloom and beautiful flowers and apples. She took a bite of the apple. Oh, it was really good. She took a bite of another apple. She saw first man coming. She picked a bunch. She threw the cores over her shoulder. She kept going. First man came, picked apples. It happened, fruit after fruit. There were peaches that came and bloomed. Oh, they were juicy. The juice ran down her face. They were so good. There were pears. There were plums. There were kiwis. There were coconuts. There were pineapples. There was watermelons, cantaloupes. They came back to Turtle Island because this argument traveled around the world. And then Creator said, I need some things that have a little more bite to them, a little more grab. So there were blueberries that sprang up. Have you ever tried to move through a blueberry bush? It really slows you down. But she made her way through, and first man made his way through. And then there were raspberries that grabbed and they scratched. But she made it through that. And then the blackberries that grabbed and they drew blood. They both gave blood in this. And then they came to a field. This field had little tiny heart-shaped berries. Now, have you ever had a wild strawberry? It takes the giant California strawberry, all the flavor, and put it in the end of your little finger, all the sweetness. And you have to get on the ground and crawl. So they were crawling after each other. First woman would crawl, first man would crawl. They were crawling around, and as first man was chasing, he said, Creator, help me. And Creator looked down and said, I've done what I know how to do. And first man had to think for himself for the first time. He picked a whole pile of strawberries, and he hid in the grass. And he waited for first woman to come upon that pile of strawberries. And she saw that pile of strawberries, and she took some, and they were good. She took a few more, and as she took those, she noticed a finger into an arm. She took a few more, ate those, and looked up the shoulder and looked into the eyes of first man. For the first time in over a year, she took some strawberries and she put them into his mouth, and he took some strawberries and put them into her mouth, and they were feeding each other strawberries. And well, we're a family church, so I can't tell you everything that happened. But you're here, and you're here, and you're here, and you're here. And there's a whole lot of people that are here on this earth now because of the berries. The strawberry is the heartberry, and with its help, the blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. They're a reminder of the sweetness of life and to let go of any resentments. So anytime you're feeling stuck in an argument, I recommend you take some of the medicine of those berries. It's a really good medicine. And that's the story of the origin of the wild strawberries. Oh.
You are one of my favorite berries. Give him a hand, everybody. That was great. Give him another hand. Just. So good to pray with you all together in this way. And for those that are still online, it's good to pray with you too. So, the last time we were together in this way, there were other voices that were certainly here. And there were other voices and eyes that were certainly watching. And time goes by, and sometimes those voices and those eyes, they transition to other places. One of the first voices that ever graced this building was Jimmy Landry. And so, in our prayers today, your heart's voice, may it mingle in prayer with all of our voices for Jimmy, a person who is beloved to this community. But there's so many voices and hearts and eyes that are beloved to this community too. When we pray, we often pray for the broken things. Sometimes it's the broken things that have the most to teach us. That space in between that allows for life to fill in. It's part of what spring does. This precious in-between time as we begin to notice from the cold ground, new things emerge. The cold ground that has been painful, new things emerge. Reconciliation requires brokenness. Brokenness can be sacred. I invite you in this prayer time to honor all of it. All of it. As much as it may hurt, all of it allows for us to come together and heal. It is the cycle that we're all in. I invite you to ring and sing bowls and bells. Brother Yona will be at the Western Wall to help pray with you as you choose. A dear friend sang this to me once. Ring the bells, it still will ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in, Jubilants. Let's let the light in. For all of our saints, named and unnamed. For all of our hurts, explored and untilled. Let's let the light in. Breathe deeply. After we sing, I invite you to share God's peace.
You shall cross the barren desert. You shall not die good. You shall wander far in safety, for you do not know the way. You shall speak your words in foreign lands and all will understand. You shall see the face of God and live. Be not afraid. I go before you always. Come, follow me, and I will give you
Peace. Peace. Peace be with you. Whew. It sure does feel good to get home, y'all. Let us share some holy words. The new creation has come, the old is gone, the new is here. All this from God, who reconciled us to herself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That God was reconciling the world to herself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And she committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making her appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. Corinthians 2. And from Thich Nhat Hanh, if we want to reconcile with our family or with friends who have hurt us, we have to take care of ourselves first. If we're not capable of listening to ourselves, how can we listen to another person? If we don't know how to recognize our own suffering, it won't be possible to bring peace and harmony into our relationships. This is sacred wisdom and holy word. All creation is wisdom and holy word.
All creation sings the wisdom of God. Hallelujah.
Woo. Hallelujah. All right, y'all, I told you that this is the week of storytelling. And I'm going to share a story with you today. This is called the seventh story, Us, Them, and the End of Violence. So settle in. There once was a people, we'll call them the people. And the people used stories to interpret their lives. Stories of where they came from, stories of where they were going, stories that told them how to be happy, and stories that told them where they were. One day, a long time ago, one of the people saw another one of the people holding something shiny. I want it, said one of the people, and so he took it. And when he got back home that night, the rest of the people were amazed. Because I have a shiny object, he proclaimed. I am in charge now. The first story said that the way to be happy is to rule over others. But every time this story was attempted, people were unhappy because rulers oppressed them. So a second story was invented. Let's overthrow the rulers. And this story didn't work either because it just turned the tables, putting new rulers in charge, putting new people under oppression. And so another story began in which the old revolutionaries withdrew into their isolated spaces and judged the world. Nothing changed. These island communities ran on the same old stories, some clawing their way to the top, others trying to pull them down and replace them at the top, and others building shiny object factories that filled the air with smoke and made everyone cough. Not just the people, but the animals and even the trees. Meanwhile, the domination story and the isolation story had a business merger, which resulted in an experiment. If they could get rid of the people they didn't like, who looked or sounded different, surely that would fix things. Of course, that story just led to more suffering. Suffering for those who were blamed and targeted and felt unsafe, and suffering for those who did the blaming and targeting because they missed out on the gift of the rainbow. They lived in a gray world. The people were still unhappy, and they knew it. Lots of years went by. The people tried to convince themselves that things were okay by accumulating things, toys, nations. It was all the same to them. Some of the people knew such things didn't heal the soul, and other old stories hadn't gone away either. The people kept hurting and hurting each other. So a sixth story was created that says if we can't find peace, security, and happiness by ruling the world or overthrowing the rulers or withdrawing into isolation or getting rid of a minority or by accumulating shiny objects, then never let us forget our sorrow or the pain others have caused us, for no one has ever suffered like us. The people would make sure that no one would ever forget that they were the victims, that their suffering was their very identity, and that no one had ever suffered as much as them. And then something new. A poet came to town, a storyteller who knew that the domination story and the revolution story and the isolation story and the purification story and the accumulation story and the victimization story were all destined to fail. They were destined to fail because they invited every human being who was already interdependent with every other human being, even with the earth herself, to pretend that instead we're in competition. The poet knew how to build things, like tables where we could all sit and eat together. She taught that the people most oppressed by the six stories should be the most honored. She taught that our differences aren't a reason for shame, punishment, or exclusion, but instead they are marks of what makes us most lovable. She invited the people to join her in forming a new community, one where status would depend on service and domination would be replaced by an equitable community, where revolution would begin in the heart and would lead to reconciliation, not revenge, transforming the process by which we live and learn, where deadening isolation would be replaced by rejuvenating silences, where we would learn from and celebrate the folks on the margins, where we would share, not possess, and heal each other's wounds in a new story of power with, not power over, of collaboration, not competition, of beauty, not belligerence. The poet had a radical idea, and the seed of the seventh story that will heal the world was born. The earlier six stories all claimed that the path to peace, security, and happiness was about winning. Us over them, us overthrowing them, us staying apart from them, us cleansing ourselves of them, or us having things they don't have, or us being more important than them because of our suffering. But in the seventh story, the story of reconciliation, we still get to win, just not at everybody else's expense. In the seventh story, human beings are not the protagonists of the world. Love is. In the seventh story, humans are participants in something far bigger than being reduced to dominating others for one group's gain or the pursuit of happiness through revolutions that replace one dominance with another, or isolation, or purity, or being a victim or gaining possessions. In the seventh story, humans are participants in the biggest thing that ever happened, of the evolution of good, of the expansion of consciousness to include the restoration and healing of all things. The story of love. It's a story in which some of us know that our purpose is not merely self-interest, but the common good. Some of us, for all of us. They killed the poet, of course. The seventh story was too much for people with visions limited to the narrow circle of self. But the poet did not actually die. Her story is alive right now. And the story lives wherever someone reveals other stories as failures. The story lives every time someone lives for all of us. or offers a glass of cool water to a thirsty stranger, or clothing to a naked person, or engages in sacred practices of friendship, lament, and hope. The story lives where there are exchanges of power and gifts between the strong and the vulnerable, creating community. The story lives where there are artistic endeavors that show us we are not alone and tell us where to go next and remind some of us to live for all of us because there is no them. This is the seventh story. It is the story of reconciliation. It is the story of love. And that is the invitation of what we are here today to celebrate, to be part of. This story of reconciliation, this story of love. The story of love is the story of the main thing. It's what Candace preached about last weekend. It's what whoever's preaching next weekend will probably preach about then too. You know why? Because it's actually really simple, right? The answer is simple. The practice of that answer is a little more tricky. That's where things get a little difficult, right? And we separated when we put our Father who art in heaven way up there. We can reconcile our Father who art in heaven with our Mother who art of earth, with Creator who art within, to creation who art without and all around. Human beings are not the protagonists of the story. Creation is. And that's what we do here at Jubilee. We come together every week to celebrate creation, to celebrate this love story, to celebrate reconciliation with all that matters. That's what we do every week together. But as Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, that journey starts here. It starts here. It starts when we get quiet, we listen, and we have the courage to heal. We all have trauma and suffering. We all have fear. We all deal with messiness because life is messy. It's messy to be a human being in this world, in this time, in this system, on this planet. It's messy. And so we find our tools. We find our practices that help keep us connected to the main thing. For me, that is dance. That's movement. Movement is my medicine. I found it when I was in my mid-30s. Thank the Lord. And it has been my salvation. I move to pray. I move to heal. I move to grieve. I move when I'm angry. I make my living temple be my vessel. I allow her to be my vessel so that I can move through all the stickiness into the place of love. And each of us are invited to find our own special something. For Yona Bear, it's beating the drum and singing the songs of his ancestors. For Jennifer, it's making puppets. And yeah, they're joyful, but they're also completely filled with the stories of creation. The sun, the moon. Her puppets tell stories about the earth and reconciling with earth. Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, they're good times, but they're also profound tools for telling the sacred stories that we've been telling all through the millennia. We're here in this sacred, holy sanctuary filled with balloons, with this gorgeous altar, with all this energy that the celebration team has brought together. Kudos, y'all. This is amazing. This is awesome. And And we're here because it is Mardi Gras. This is a time when we dance in the streets and we let it all out, right? This has been going on for a long time. Fat Tuesday, Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Tuesday, call it what you will. But this is the time to really celebrate, let it out. And we've been celebrating dancing in the streets, carnival, festivals, ever since they kicked it out of the church. Yeah. You know, it used to be ecstatic Christianity. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's true. I have been illuminated through this awesome book called Dancing in the Streets, Barbara Einrich. I highly recommend it. Looking at the ways in which we share our collective joy and our collective grief through movement, through dance. Mardi Gras is an example of that. But before they took it into the streets, it was in the ritual. Ecstatic Christianity. Clement of Alexandria in the 2nd century, a church father, he talks of coming together to dance in circle, surrounded by the angels, to celebrate he who is without beginning and without end. And Christians came together with zest and delight in order to raise their hands and their head and stomp their feet to end a prayer. Can you imagine? Pietas excitus. That's the technical term for dancing, y'all. It sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Pietas excitimus. That's how the prayer was marked. We've been dancing and moving with our prayers for a long time. The Sufis have done it with the whirling dervishes. The ghost dancers have done it to show their lament. We've been moving in our living temples. And there are so many tools in our spiritual toolkit to get us to that place so that we can remember to reconcile to love. To reconcile to love. It's hard today to be in this joyful, joyous occasion of coming back together when across the globe there is horrific pain, aggression, and violence being implemented by an elite group of autocrats. The Ukraine is no stranger to this. They had the Orange Revolution in 2004, 2005, where they stood up for freedom. The Orange Revolution, orange, color of the solar plexus, color of the gut. There was a dancing revolution in Romania. We are no strangers to uprisings through movements, the French Revolution, still slave rebellions. This has been something that we've done to take to the streets. Alice Walker reminds us, hard times require furious dancing. Furious dancing. So no, I do not feel guilty about dancing in the streets today at 3 o'clock in the South Slope for the Mardi Gras parade. I do not. I do not, because one day our brothers and sisters in Ukraine may be dancing for us. May be dancing for us. They've danced before. This is an old story, y'all. This is an old story of domination. We've heard this before. We've heard it before. And our prayers can be to the Russians, our brothers and sisters in Russia, who we are connected to in love. May they take to the streets, not in the hundreds, but in the hundreds of thousands, in the millions, so that it's impossible for them to be taken away, made silent. Our prayers are to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine so that they are safe, but they are fighting for freedom, and fight they will. Our prayers are for each of us, that we do our part, that we send our prayers however we are called to pray. Vibration for liberation. And it's going, if we take action the way that we can, it's going to hurt. We're going to feel it. Gas prices are going to go up. stock market's going to go down. Guess what, y'all? Okay. Okay. If that's what we have to do to stand up for justice, okay, we'll do that because we are reconciling ourselves to the love of this planet, to the love of creation. And that's okay. We'll do it. We'll do it. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. With every breath I take, let this be my vow. Let there be peace on earth, y'all. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with you and me, and let us find our spiritual toolbox, tap into it deeply, go there, be the peace that we are asked to be in this seventh story, the story of reconciliation. Pietas excitimus. Pietas excitimus. Stamp your feet, y'all. Pietas excitement. Let's lift our hands up. Let's feel it. We're going to get those bowls going around, but stand up. Let's let our prayers, let them feel it all the way over across the world. Woo!
Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching. When the sun begins to shine. Oh, when the sun begins to shine. Oh, when the sun begins to shine. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When the sun begins to shine. Oh,
Thank you for your offerings, jubilants. Thank you. This helps us keep the main thing the main thing. Now we'll receive.
For those of you that may not have been here for this present before, we honor your gift of the community. We honor what you give so that this can continue. We honor the gift for you fulfilling the dreams and the visions of your ancestors by giving and maintaining the energy and the life of the spirit. So when I offer this, the gesture, this is a ritual that we do of offering it 3 times, once for the past, once for the present, once for the future. And then the 4th time, the offering is to be received for whatever it is that the Spirit guides you to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please join us in song, the benediction.
May the road rise to lead you meet again. May God hold you in the hollow of her
Thank you, Jubilees. We are inviting you to stay for a little dance party. We're going to dance in the streets right now. So let's take it. Let's dance our prayers. Let's send them out to the world. Let's celebrate creation. Go forth and expidas piadas.
Coming out around the world, are you ready for a brand new beat? The summer's here and the time is right for dancing in the streets of dancing in Chicago. Way down in New Orleans, out in New York City, yeah. All we need is music, sweet music. There'll be music everywhere, yeah. They'll be swinging, swinging, records playing, 'cause we're dancing in the streets. Oh, oh. It doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. Every guy, every girl, everywhere around this world, they're dancing in the streets. Oh, it's an invitation across the nation, a chance for folks to meet. They'll be laughing and singing, the music swinging, dancing in the street. In Philadelphia, PA, Baltimore and DC now. Don't forget the Motor City, on the streets of Brazil now. Back in the USSR, don't matter where you are. All we need is music, sweet music. There'll be music everywhere. They'll be swinging, swinging, records playing, dancing in the streets. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. Come on, every guy and your girls, grab your hair and rock the world. We're dancing in the streets, streets. See ya, come on, dancing in the streets. Dancing in the street. It doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. Come on, everybody, let's do it everywhere around the world. Oh, they're dancing in the streets, dancing in the streets, yeah, they're dancing in the streets, dancing in the streets.